All right, says it's setting it up. Okay. And it looks like we're going live.
Okay.
All right. Let me everyone. All right. There we go. Okay. I've got a feedback here. Whoa. I can hear myself in 3 different places.
Even with me mute.
I need to mute myself. Okay, let me see. Sorry, peeps, we're trying to get this going. No thanks. All right. Okay, I don't hear you. I don't hear you anymore, Ashley.
That's just because I muted myself.
Okay, I mean, I hear you.
Okay.
I don't hear any feedback though.
Oh, okay, good.
It was me. Okay.
Okay.
Woo, all right.
Made it.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, hey, thank you. Can't stop, won't stop. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. And Ashley, I'm so happy Ashley is here. Michele, unfortunately, isn't feeling well, so she won't be here. And Galactic Ashley, one of my very favorite people in the world, is here with me today. Thank you, Ashley, for sitting in at short notice.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
All right, so let's see here, make sure I got everything situated. And I need to, all right, so I just want to make sure I'm covering both channels so we don't miss anybody. Okay, whoops. Ashley, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself? Well, I'm trying to get this going.
I'll always stall. I'm just kidding. I'm a fan of imperfection and informality.
You're right, right.
So I'm
I hear
super
you.
blessed and feel really honored to be invited back and to get to step in last minute to be a guest on this awesome show. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Galactic Ashley, and I channel divine guidance for starseeds, connecting them to their star families and galactic lineages. I use light language frequencies and work with your cosmic connections to facilitate high frequency healing transmissions and encoded activations. So I'm happy to be here and talk about all things galactic. I do have some paintings that I'm going to be, a lot of them are on my TikTok page, but I have paintings that I'm going to be, hold on, let's
nice.
change. We'll stop this. They're on my TikTok page, but I'm going to be putting them up on my website this week. So they'll be available hopefully before Christmas. So yeah, so we work on a lot of light codes over here, and I have a lot of sessions if anybody is interested.
Yay. That's beautiful. You're an amazing artist. I wanted to show you, I'm feeling kind of silly, but I wanted to show you this drawing I did. I've talked to hey Corey, and I've talked to people that have watched Michele and I, some people in the audience that I have visitations from Galactics, I'm tuned in. And so there's this one woman that came to me, a big bald head, beautiful, beautiful woman, female. And I could hear her voice calling me Sharon and gave me some guidance on something. And I've seen her 3 times, I believe. Anyway, so I'm like, I got to get these down. I got to draw these, Galactic Ashley, my dear. And so I wanted to show you this one. And just because I'm I'm proud of it for me because I'm not an artist, but I'm still working on it. So
Amazing.
This is kind of what she looks like. Kind of, yeah. I tried to get, and she had this beautiful pastel aura or energy around her was pastel, and there was these symbols that were moving and shimmering and everything all around her. And so I just sat with her with the process here and got as many symbols as I could get that made sense to me or that to put down on paper. I don't know what they mean yet. Some of them, as I was doing it, I could get a little bit of information, but yeah. So so I'm starting to do that kind of thing where I want to draw and put down on paper. I want to start painting and things like that to get what's up here in your mind and get it out on canvas. And that's got to be really healing for you, Ashley.
Yeah.
You do that.
I think I've realized that it takes a lot more energy than I was previously allowing myself to realize that it was taking. Especially in my courses, sometimes I'll make some for the people that are in the courses. And I remember doing one of the courses, it was like Meet the Galactics a couple of years ago. And I was like, I'll do one every week. And I ended up doing two. And they were like they were really intense. And one was for the Lionsgate. And sometimes I end up putting them on my website. But the point is that they do take a lot of energy. And I always encourage people, because the first thing that people think is like, oh, I'm not an artist, so I can't do this. And the beings call it the aesthetic force. So the aesthetic force is all that really matters. And that's the energy that is coming through. And you are the only one that can bring it through the way that you bring it through. And so whether like Sharon ends up putting that out for other people to buy or whatever, or maybe she just shares the light codes, it's just important that we bring them through for ourselves. And then that becomes a physical item or a physical object that then has been stopped down to the point where it sort of is emanating the frequencies of that being's visit into the physical body so that the physical body can take it in over time. And
Nice.
so I encourage everybody to do it. I don't care what it looks like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Well, you're an artist by trade, and you've been doing it a long time. When you kind of get started, though, it's like, oh, you're kind of afraid, kind of nervous about putting it out there. And I'm not anymore because I'm I'm at that point where I don't care anymore. But I know I was thinking it would be because I'm obsessed with portraits of people
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
beings, that kind of thing. I'm obsessed with that. And so I want to eventually, hopefully, get well enough into where I can give these, uh, do some kind of an artistic rendition of what I see in a reading with someone, especially galactics and things like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
and with messages. Yeah. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing. How brave and courageous of you. Everyone should take note. And even for
that's
me,
right.
it's really hard because technically my background is in photography and video, and I used to do build installations and stuff in a place. So it's not really painting. So a long time ago, the being said, "You're going to be painting and singing," and I was like, "Pfft." And exactly what I end up doing. So
That's right, you do. Right. That's awesome. So I'm so glad you're here because I wanted to bring in some galactic updates because that's what I'm all about. Uh, and and then maybe you have some too. You could share before we move on to any questions or any readings or anything like that that people might want some some of our insights on. Yeah. So are you aware of Elena Denon? Ashley, we haven't talked in a little while, so I don't know if we talked about that.
I
Elena Denon?
think so. Should I
Okay,
do
she's
it? I can
yeah,
look.
I've talked about her a lot. So
Oh, no.
the reason I follow her is because she the beings that have visited me in the last couple years, and also even farther back than that, I believe, um, she ends up with her experiences and her drawings or whatever it is, 'cause she's an artist too, and her sharings confirm what I get. They totally confirm what I get. I had a being who showed up for me during a meditation when I asked to be shown who, or yeah, shown who I, not necessarily shown, but just let me know who I work with in the star community, right? Star being community now. And this this dude shows up in a uniform and is just sitting there looking at me. And so yeah, and I drew him, and then I realized, and then I came across Elena Denon, which was about a year or so ago, and one of the drawings was one of her contacts, the contact she has in the Galactic Federation of Worlds, who she works with, and it was the exact same uniform and symbol on his uniform that what I saw who sat in front of me. Not the same person, but the exact same uniform, and he had some kind of a red headgear on, sitting there right there in front of me. So I'm like, okay, I think that she might be connected. And then this woman, this female, this large-headed female shows up, and she draws Enki, who looks well, I saw her again, who I thought was her on a ship, and I knew I was on a ship in a big, large room, and she draws Enki in a room on the Nibiru ship. It's not a planet, according to her, and I totally get that. In the same room, in the same robe that I saw this large-headed being in this same looking room that she draws. So I'm like, okay, I think I can take that. So so my peeps know me, and they know that I need experiences beforehand and something to collaborate it later in order for me to trust someone's information. All right. So anyway, so I follow her, and her books are amazing. I've mentioned it way here before, and so Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Yeah, he says that she said Thoth. I don't even know how to say that. Nishida was under Florida. Yes, that's what they say. And I just heard an interview with Michael Sala and JP that the giants are waking up, and Thoth is one of them. Thoth is one of them. Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, I guess, goes by many names. And apparently they are waking up all over because Florida, Brazil, Slovenia, Ukraine, northern Russia, Iran are only some of the areas that I understand where these giant benevolent beings have been placed underground in underground stasis chambers. So I think Egypt is another one, but I believe that one was moved or ransacked, kind of thing, died. Enki shared the information that these are his geneticists, and they were put in stasis for when he came back into the solar system, and he's back in our solar system. And so there's activations going on all over the solar system, not just here from the galactic wars. There's also arcs that are hidden or buried as well that are being activated, and only certain energies can activate them. Have your peeps talked about that at all, Ashley?
About activations, or about specifically what you just said?
Well, activations, I mean, I know we're activating within us, which activates without, right?
Mhm.
Anything that they maybe shared with you about activations?
Yeah, but a lot
Okay.
differently. I'll weave it in, but it doesn't necessarily seem appropriate right in this
Okay. Okay.
moment. It's like not on topic, but it's not off topic. So keep going
Gotcha.
with what you're sharing.
Okay. Yeah, so so it's my understanding that these beings, they call them giants because they're bigger than us, that 9 feet tall or something like that. Yeah. Are waking up, and they are meant, apparently, and what makes sense, kind of, sort of. I mean, I know this is way beyond what we can even imagine, but it's fine. We know that we're in the great shift right now, and so things are going to be happening that have never happened before. Things are happening that have never happened before. So these beings are apparently waking up for us to help activate things within us, codes, memories within us, uh, so that as that energy is, or those codes are being bombarded on the planet, I'm not sure, shared on the planet, activated on the planet, we are waking up more and more to our true selves, and also the fact that we are so much more than what we have been taught and suppressed as. And remembering our galactic heritage, it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't have our life here on Earth, but remembering why we're here and what we're here for, and that we are here, for many, many reasons in these times. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense?
Yeah. I have noticed in alignment with what you're saying, I think at least there's been like 3 people that have been in my groups. There seems like a large amount of people that have been traveling to Egypt recently, I've noticed. Some of them are in my groups. And so that's what it's not like people aren't necessarily traveling all over the world all of the time that are the people that are sitting in front of me, but there seems to be a pretty good amount of that, and they are going to sacred sites. And so the beings, so I channel these beings, and they call themselves the dragon's consciousness, and they identify themselves as being beyond the threshold of creation. So they talk about something called holographic geographies. So it's the idea. So I like when you say that somebody is like put into stasis and that their codes are sort of coming alive. So they would say yes to that, only there's a lot of different language that is used, but it's kind of the same thing. And so I feel like Egypt is definitely it's always been a place of activation. But one of the things that they do talk about is that face with the male face on it. Is they always ask people to go back in time to see if that is really the true face, because it's not the true face. It's actually a Lyran lioness, divine feminine frequency that was reframed in the terms of being a male. And then when and this happens in, even like you can look at it through the history of art in multiple places, but all of these places are where timelines are coming across, whether it's a church or not. The Alhambra recently has been brought up into my awareness as another place that is highly activated, meaning like there's codes that are sort of coming up from these places and asking us to rethink about what we think history is, because it's not how it's been presented. So there is no proof in any of these situations, other than if you can tune in or do a meditation and go back to that place and really see for you, because maybe when you experienced that lifetime, it was the face of a man and it wasn't the cat. But can you go there and actually feel or see the divine feminine energy that was there, and how it tried to get erased from our own history? So these are pieces of technology that are meant to for us to communicate with the galactics with, so that humans were always using them to communicate with the galactics. So anytime somebody comes in to have power over that space, they would take their noses off and take their ears off, because the ears, nose, and throat, this is the point and place of communication. So that's why within the Bible it says you shall not worship idols, because it has nothing to do with the idol itself. It has to do with the piece of technology that is really helping you to remember to have power. And so it's really taking you away from your sovereignty and your own power. So what's happening is then it gets diluted down, and then we're not allowed to have idols. Or in the Bible, they're like, everybody's worshiping a golden cow. It's not the golden cow. It's the intention that was put into these statues, whether it was the Sphinx or a pyramid or one of the statues of any of the goddesses or gods that is out there. It's not the god itself. It's that God is coming through that technology that is helping you remember that you are your own God, or you are the inner guru, and everything that's just been very, very scrambled. So a lot of these frequencies are coming up, and So yeah, so that's where I align. So basically what you said
No,
in different words.
it's just different language. Yes,
Yeah.
totally. No, I love that. And I always felt this, you're talking about the Sphinx, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, was feminine, not was meant to be feminine.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And I've heard that, and I think Elena Denon even talks about that. And there's also, did you know there's the Sphinx in Romania?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading the book now called Transylvania Sunrise. It's a series by Radu Cinemar and Peter Moon. And they found lots of similar stuff in Romania that's like in ancient Egypt. And one of them is that there's a picture of it here. Um,
I mean, and that makes sense because Atlantis was
yeah,
going around to a lot of these places and really
right.
spreading out all over the world. So they would be sort of making these energy for.
All over. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Not just Egypt. Yeah. It's um there's so much out there that's being uncovered. We're living in a time of which is really cool. We're living in the time of revelations.
Mhm.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah. The beings always say that everything is set up for your own divine revelations.
Nice. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, totally. I know it's pretty in when I hear people say, "Oh gosh, this is horrible what we're going through and everything like that." I have to I mean, I know it's part of the quickening, I guess, the quickening of humanity and what we're um, dealing with. It's like, I always say it's like a detox. We're detoxing. Humanity is detoxing what's been keeping us heavy and strapped down. So that's not easy.
Yeah.
De
No, it's not.
no, detoxes are not easy, but
Mm-mm.
they're worth it. Yeah. So I was again I wanted to say I was listening to Michael Salla a little while ago with JP, one of his insiders, and JP said that he's an army guy who has permission to share, and he's been sharing with Michael Salla for a long time information, which corroborates Elaine Denon and lots of people that Michael Salla works with. But he went to these extraterrestrials took him to Europa. I had an out of body experience years and years ago where it was a group, actually I think it was a group trip that we did, I believe. We went to the moon Europa, and I was taken into a what looked like a pyramid. It looked like a pyramid to me in the out of body experience, and they were showing me these records that they were holding on Europa of the different civilizations all over the galaxy, and they pulled out like a tray of Earth, and and they pulled out one that had a Mickey Mouse on it.
It's funny.
I don't know. Does that mean Disneyland? I don't know. But I thought that was really interesting. But going back to JP, they went to Europa and he said that there's a civilization there. Yeah, it was, he said when they were able to, when they entered the atmosphere and they was able to get off the ship, I guess, what he was sharing was that the atmosphere, the oxygen was like honey, like breathing in and smelling honey. It was just so sweet and nice. And something else he said about it that triggered my memory of experiences, but I can't remember now. Um, I should have wrote it down. He talked about something else. I can't remember right now. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so that's, I knew that there was civilization on Europa in and out of my experience many, many, many years ago. And he's talking about going there, traveling there, which is pretty cool because I believe that we are in. What do you think about having disclosure in our lifetime? Complete, complete disclosure with people that are with civilization as it is now. What are your thoughts on that?
Where you mean where like everything is brought out?
where we are aware that extraterrestrials are real and walk among us, and perhaps the government has been hiding it for a long time. I don't know, if it'll come to that, but that we have extraterrestrials on our planet, and that we are not the only, kind of a Star Trek kind of thing.
Um, well, I feel like it's already happening. I'm probably
Mhm.
the wrong person to ask this, but also the right person.
I know, right? Because it's in your world. It's our,
Uh,
I get it.
because I don't think that you can make anybody believe anything that they're not ready or capable of believing, even if everything is like just, I don't know, every like all like beings in different shapes are all walking around. I I'm almost getting right now that it feels almost up to Earth to decide when we are ready, because a lot of the messages that have been coming through are that next year is really the year of the emotional body, and
Mhm.
we are part of the emotional body. We didn't used to be. It was animals that were, I mean, animals are still involved in the emotional body, thank goodness, but there was huge animals that were holding the emotional body. If all of a sudden all of these things started happening, I feel like a lot of humans would literally just explode. And so that wouldn't happen, because I mean, people have a hard time maybe letting go of a particular religion because their whole life has been this. There's nothing against religion. I believe that religion is oftentimes a gateway to spirituality, and one thing isn't better than another.
Mhm.
So much is about choice and taking sovereign choice. So that means that there's a lot of people that will choose artificial intelligence timelines. But I think the Orion Council of Light and some other beings came in and said that's really necessary, because by them choosing that, once they get down on that line, they're going to make different choices that is then going to rectify other experiences and other multidimensional aspects and heal the galactic lineages that they carry within them. So it's important that we can't judge people for their choices, because
Sure.
on a multidimensional layer and level, there's a lot of things that are happening. And the beings always say all roads lead to one, back to the one. Now you
Right.
could take a hard left or a hard right, right? And it might take you a millennia or whatever to get back to one, but it's ultimately for your soul growth. So, I mean, I feel like a lot more of it will be revealed, but will everybody be hunky dory with it and living and believing? I think it might take a lot of people a lot more than just seeing, because seeing is not actually believing.
Yeah. Experiencing, maybe experiencing. Well, I know experiencing is people need experience. Most people need experience. I needed experience. My brother-in-law, who has been a skeptic for as long as I've known him, with what I do, and he's finally gotten to where he believes in other other beings, other than humans, and so he's coming along. My sister's doing a good job with him. So,
Mm-hmm.
so he lost his brother last year, who died suddenly, and he was 50 something. They found him passed out on his or dead on his in his apartment. So he and my brother didn't get along. Brother-in-law. He shared that he had a dream the other night, which was so vivid. He never had a dream like it, where his brother walked by him and smiled at him when he was sitting there with the rest of his family, like a family gathering, and his brother walks by him, the brother had passed, walks by him and smiles at him, and he said that he felt this immense feeling of love that he can't even describe.
Mm-hmm.
He can't even describe it. And just smiling at him, and then just walks away. And my sister says, that sounds like it was visitation. And I said the same thing, does sound like visitation, especially if it heals something within him, which it did. So
Mm-hmm.
now, and it's people like my brother-in-law that have to have that experience. He's he's starting to he's opening up to other possibilities that um, maybe you can have experiences like that, and people that like you and I aren't so crazy after all.
Right. Well, and what's interesting about that is I hope he holds that and remembers that, because oftentimes people will go and they will share that experience, and then there will be a bunch of quote unquote naysayers, and then they might give up that experience. So, a theme that's been coming up is sort of external influence and how we're being asked to really pay attention to external influence. Because truly,
Mm,
freedom is to be free from the influence of others, other energy, other people, other whatever, and it's to be aligned in our own divinity. So it's like he basically experienced the hand of God in whatever form, it doesn't matter, but it was
right.
healing and opening and activating. And I hope that he's able to hold on to that and align with that and believe that regardless of what other people are saying. It's sometimes why anybody that's listening, like, it's okay to go and take mediumship courses or classes with Sharon and then not tell your friends about it, right? Until you
Right.
feel more comfortable in that, which really means you begin to integrate these experiences into your life and feel more comfortable with them, ultimately more comfortable with yourself, not trying to have other people, not looking outside of yourself for acceptance so you can accept your gifts. I mean, that's generally the hardest thing for people to do when they're coming into their resources, right? And nobody wants us to be resourced, because resource is really being connected to source, so that you are able to resource your own source information and your own light, which means you don't need to depend on something that is outside of you or something that wants to be in control. So of course it's going to be challenging and also worth it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that, and hopefully he won't. And I don't. Um, that's a very good point. And my brother-in-law is very sure of himself, so it would take a lot for him to, I think, to even maybe tell anyone, any of his, peers, except for his immediate family, maybe.
Right.
And yeah, but
Great that he has you and that immediate family, right? And
yeah, totally. My sister had told me about it, and he said, and he told her later, I get you can tell your sister if you want. And she had already told me, and he,
probably should
so
have said
I
it was
think he
a
wanted,
war.
yeah, I think he wanted to know what I thought, because he knows what I do, right? He knows.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was funny, but I don't. She had already told me. Yeah, I totally agree with you about that with galactic spec too. Extraterrestrial beings. I mean, they're already walking among us anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, if you see someone out on, out and about and say something like, "Boy, that looks like an extraterrestrial," maybe, bless you, maybe they are. Maybe they are. I mean, we're all kind of extraterrestrial in our own way, aren't we? We're not all,
Yeah, I
yeah.
actually feel like we all, I mean, to me, the original human, the divine human was seated with basically 12, 13, what maybe you want to believe seven. I don't know. I'm not going to get into like the numbers of things.
12 resonates with me. Yeah.
Yeah, but to have these 12 DNA strands, right? And so
Mm,
some of us come in with some activated, some of us come in with others activated. But even if you're somebody that has the highest ones activated, it doesn't necessarily mean that the earth has shifted to the point where you can sort of fully embody this, because our bodies are part of the vessel and vehicle that is an earth, right?
right.
So the more that we heal in ourselves, the more is able to shift in the morphogenetic field. And so the more that we do that, then everything becomes more accessible. So some of us that feel frustrated, sorry, I don't know, my nose just started running all of a sudden. The more that we feel sort of frustrated, and there's a lot of light workers out there that feel frustrated for being here, and why is everybody so slow? I mean, ultimately,
Hmm.
we're here holding those codes in our DNA, waiting for other people to sort of move through their process to kind of wake up. And the earth is not really, before it really felt like the earth, like let's just for a metaphor say that the earth is rotating 80 miles an hour. That's not true, but like we're all on a freeway that's 80 miles an hour, and the earth is like, I'm not driving more than like in a school zone because it's not safe for the children, right? But
Yeah.
eventually, then she's been speeding up, and now I feel like it's like, no, we're going to be going the speed limit and people are going to have to catch up. So it really feels like next year, I don't mean next year's not going to be horrible, right? But it's definitely going to, from the information that I have been given,
Mhm.
it's definitely going to be one of the emotional body, because she's going to be releasing these energies. So I always think of like Marilyn Monroe, how she's standing over a grate and all this air is like coming up. It's going to be like that. So, and that includes a lot of indigenous things, and anything that is like any human that has spilled blood on that area. If that somehow resonates with you in this experience and or is in your DNA, it's going to come up and it will sort of get sticky in your field, and you will have to look at things, especially in the emotional body. So all of this links back to, sorry, we were talking about human DNA. So to me,
Sure.
you have like the Lyrans and all of these high vibrational galactic beings that have were part of seeding the original human race, so that we would remember, so that we would understand the power of the divine human. And when whether you want to say that we're taking carbon DNA and crystallizing it, or that we are turning into or merging in with this as new humans, whatever it is, the human body is divine. And so it's not about leaving it, it's about the body actually shifting as we're shifting, and us. And it's really uncomfortable. I mean, the joke that we always say is, ask a caterpillar how good it felt to turn into goo before it recrystallized and became a butterfly, right?
Right.
It can't feel good. Like,
No, it doesn't.
that can't feel good at all.
It doesn't. And you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've been getting the same thing, Ashley. I mean, something very similar with next year. Yeah, and it's going to be a wild ride,
Mhm.
to say the least. Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a New Year's Day uh, dealio like we did last year on Zoom. So, yeah, and you're welcome to join us if you're not busy on New Year's Day. Let's have some peeps up here and say what they're getting about what to expect and how to handle it. Maybe some tips on how to handle it in the next year for 2023. And we'll have a little meditation to begin. Yeah. So, I know it's exciting at the same time. So I think, and what Yeshua has always told me is awareness is the key. As long as we're aware of these things, it helps tremendously. And it's because, yeah, and we know this because when we get blindsided by something that's coming up within us and it ends up um, causing problems around us, it's hard to have perspective on where that's coming from if we don't understand where it's coming from and why things are so chaotic, that type of thing. So once we are aware of what's happening and moving forward into these higher vibrational frequencies, then at least we know how to, or if we don't have the tools, we can at least reach out to find tools, look it up or whatever, to see what's happening, see how we can deal with it as best we can, um, and ride the wave. Yeah, not let it overcome us. And what you were saying about people that are going down a different type of timeline or something like that, I know I felt that too, that there is no right or wrong. I've always been told that, felt that there is no right or wrong with whether we stay here for this or don't, or have a different type of way of getting to the top of the mountain, which is what I've been told too. There's many ways to the top of the mountain.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just because no one is lost forever, or really not lost. Actually have a message from Yeshua called "You Are Not Lost." I don't know where my journal is. Yeah, which was, he says, "You are not lost. You just took the long way home." Um, do you mind if I read it?
Absolutely not, of course.
Okay, see if I can find it. And And if anyone has any questions or and wants us to look at anything intuitively, go ahead and put it in the chat. Andrea says, love and light, my spiritual sisters. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Thank you for being here. Where is it? Here it is. You are never lost. You are never lost, my loves. You have simply taken the long way home. I have never lost sight of you. Your heart and your soul know the way. Always follow them both, for I am within both, watching over you. Woo, I'm starting to get emotional already. You feel me in the breeze. You see me in every smile. You hear me in the bird's song. How could you even be lost from me when we are always one? Forever yours. My little morning channel after my meditation.
That's awesome. It's good to
Yeah.
hear from you, Michele.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always good to hear from him. So let's see. Anyone have a question? Carissa? Hi, Carissa. Hearts to you too. Any questions, anyone? Or just something? Okay. Madeline. Hello, Madeline. Yeah. Mwah. Yeah. Love you. She's talking about her body.
Well, you're the juice cleanse queen. Remember correctly.
Yeah, I do. I noticed my body craving a detox like a juice fast. I've been so sluggish and my conscious growth has slowed down. Will that help for next year? Mm, I, yeah. Uh, yeah, I believe what I'm feeling is that, and have always got this message, is that doing something like that on a regular basis, on a periodic basis, is probably one of the best things we could do for our body to clean us out. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, totally. So right away I got yes, and not just for the year coming, but also for your for moving forward. If you do it, it probably wouldn't hurt us to do it on a 6-month basis. Do maybe 3 days or something like that. And I actually did a video on that, and it was a water fast, I think is what I talked about. But I mean, when I do that, it clears my mind, it clears my body out, and I just feel so much better. I have so much energy. I can't talk enough about the benefits of some kind of periodic fasting of 2 to 3 days. Yeah. I was fasting for like a week when I was 20 years ago. And I wouldn't recommend that unless you are an expert at fasting, which I wasn't, but it's what my guides told me to do. So I did it, and I had a lot to bring up apparently, so I needed to do it. And I mean, I was partying, so there was a lot that needed to be cleansed. I was a big partier back then. So I would say yes. What about you, Ashley? What do you say? Think, feel?
I feel like it's really important anytime we're doing any sort of cleanse or detox, and there's a million approaches that you can take. It can be, you can do intermittent fasting, you can work with combo, you can get colonics. I mean, there's all kinds of ways, but I feel like intention is everything. So if you are feeling drawn, like you deeply are feeling drawn towards a juice cleanse, and then you approach it sort of like a ceremony that you're inviting this in, it will help with the cleanse. And not every, my experience with doing different types of detoxes and cleanses is that I don't always feel amazing after. Sometimes the opposite is true. So I would also leave some space for that. And if you happen to be the type of person who is like, I'm gonna get it, sort of like more takes things intensely, then it's an opportunity for you to tune into your body, because sometimes a gentler approach multiple times is better for any detox or cleansing or fasting. I do know that if anybody has a hard time with Wi-Fi and wireless types of, or 5G and all of these things, I got a download a while ago, and I use it a lot, spirulina.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I put spirulina in my smoothies, like maybe 15 minutes later, I'll be like crying. And then I'm like, oh, right. And I call it death by spirulina. So what spirulina does is it actually helps detox, so what we would call lower vibrational metals. And it's sort of these heavy metals that are in our bodies. And that's what the 5G and a lot of these frequencies can attach to. So when we can do heavy metal cleanses, then that, like, but you see there's like an intention behind it, right? Because it's good to have like the I know that you can like take the gold and silver colloidal things, right? So, but there are heavy metals that are in our bodies, and those become little beacons that will attract a lot of the Wi-Fi signals and a lot of these things. So for sensitive people, sometimes starting with putting spirulina in the smoothies, or including and incorporating spirulina in your juice cleanse maybe might be good.
Yeah, I use spirulina every day. Spirulina and chlorella. It's really
Mm-hmm.
good. It helps your third eye as well. Hope that was, thank you, Ashley. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. All right. So thanks, Maud. Corey. Corey has a question. I'd love to know why so much seems to have gone south for me in the last week. Family, possessions, health, all turned upside down.
Mhm.
Okay.
Corey.
Corey. Yeah. I'm getting that it could have, um, to do with what we were just talking about with the, how do I put it? A time of cleansing kind of thing, where things right now are being turned upside down all over us. I mean, all around us. The energies are shifting, and they're very intense. And I've noticed this in my life too, Corey. Is that uh, anything that might be a little bit, irritate us a little bit or something like that, or what that is like tenfold. the the situation is tenfold with emotional intensity. Um, so moving deeper into that, on a personal level, what I'm feeling is that, and I know Corey, so I'm a little bit at an advantage here. I think you know Corey too, Ashley, right? You know Corey? Okay.
I'm sorry if I don't remember. I never
Yeah,
forget.
that's right.
Terrible.
Yeah. Um, on a more personal, detailed level, what I'm feeling is that there's something that within you, it's always within us, right? It's always something that we are not dealing with, or am dealing with, or not dealing with. Um, that's coming to the surface for you, or needs to be addressed is what I'm getting. And I'm feeling it has a lot to do with, okay, she's saying her brother and sister-in-law are now out of her life. The cold I have is definitely cleansing me. The robbery still, wow.
Mhm.
Uh okay. Dang. All right. Man, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's I just keep getting there's something within you that that needed to be cleansed or needed to be healed that hasn't been healed. And so what we haven't healed, and I've been getting this for all year or last couple years, what we haven't healed does is manifesting without around us quicker. Okay, it was just so close. Oh, good. Okay. Um, so it's manifesting around us quicker. So whatever you had within, perhaps within you, activated something in whether it was another lifetime or an experience that hasn't been healed from this lifetime, which comes from other lifetimes. Um, that's that was present and activated and triggered within you because of all the light that's being brought onto the planet or that's coming onto the planet. And these beings that we were just talking about in the beginning, Ea coming onto the planet and bringing his energy and all these huge, the cedars, all these huge, powerful beings that are our forebearers, I guess you can say, forefathers and mothers kind of thing, are bringing so much light along with what the sun is sending us onto the planet. So what we are not dealing with comes to fruition. Yes, burning away the old, making way for the new. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting. Uh, Ashley, do you have any insight for Corey?
Sure. So this is going to be like collective and also slash very much for you, Corey. Corey, right? I have that.
Corey, yes.
So, the first thing I got for you, Corey, is that you are being asked to like you are being catapulted into your heart center. So it's about decentering, which is a term that is used in sort of trauma work. Is so decentering sounds wrong, but it's like taking you out of old patterns, and then in order to do that, you are being asked to you're like being forced, almost catapulted into your heart. So because of this year was a year of sort of relationship, but we're in relationship with everything around us. As we come to the close of this year, what it feels like is that where you don't feel safe in your physical structure, so in your body, you are being asked to re-look at. So sometimes when we don't feel maybe safe in our body, this can it can, if it's financial, sometimes that can actually connect to a sexual trauma or something of the nature, or it can go back to a previous financial trauma, right? So it's really about everything that you said, family, finances, and possessions. That's very much about the physicality of feeling safe in the actual physical body and the physical structure. So it is an opportunity, even though I understand, and I actually experienced a bunch of, almost all of my savings was stolen. I got round up with a bunch of light workers earlier this year. So I definitely get it. And if you experienced a robbery inside of your home, that's like a whole nother level, because our homes are basically the reflection of the self, right? So when our homes are entered into, it's as if our bodies have been entered into. So this can bring up a lot of things. So I would take the time to sit gently with this and to hold this and not to blame yourself. And part of there's a big love part that was coming in, because there's a difference between setting boundaries out of love for yourself versus setting boundaries in order to keep things out. So this is very much about you accessing love for yourself and setting boundaries from there, which then is a less aggressive way to set boundaries, meaning it doesn't really cause harm to anybody that you're setting boundaries, because you're not setting them against them. Now, if they're going to go over there, like family is going to have a tantrum, that's really about them and not about you, because you're listening to your body and understanding what it needs and doesn't need right now. So why things are hard in general for people at this time, and really it's been like this for a while, but I really see it in a lot of people, is anytime we're meeting a timeline. So let's say someone's in a relationship, or you're in a relationship and you're leaving that relationship. If you can put the intention in this, especially if it feels super extra hard, it's because you're not only leaving this relationship, you're leaving every single relationship that you didn't have the courage to leave before, which can also be in multidimensional realms or in other lifetimes. So that is really the opportunity that's being offered whenever we're facing really hard things, is to remember that it's not just this one thing. So when you hear that voice that says, why this shouldn't be this hard, it's like, yes, it should, because you are healing more than this moment, because what's happening is now timelines are actually showing up more in this realm, that they really are coming to. It's always been like this. All of space and time, it's in this one moment. That's what it means to be in the infinite moment, is every multi-dimensional timeline is coming in this moment. So when you heal this, it goes out and it heals everything in the ancient future, before, after, and all of the dimensions, but it's really being felt by people that don't necessarily think that way. So if something feels hard, it's okay that it feels hard, because that's what's happening. So if you're going through a divorce or a breakup or whatever it is, it's because this person, you could even see this person is holding this space. They won't leave you, because you are being asked to rise up and know what's best for you, and to leave them. And this is just a literal relationship that's being used as an example. But when you remember that we're in relationship with everything, whatever theme it is that you are touching, it's okay that it's hard, because many things are getting healed in that one choice. And that's why choosing with awareness, as Sharon said earlier, that like awareness is everything, and being aware of your awareness, right? And always wondering, like from a place of compassionate curiosity, is really beneficial. Maybe they want me to stop talking every time I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I'm like, that's enough. Because now I'm like going to sneeze again. This is funny. So it's really about, so it's just like, it's holding yourself, like both Corey and anyone else that's listening, and whatever it is that's hard, it's because it is hard, because you're healing 5 relationships or 5 financial troubled parts of you at once, right? And it makes sense to me that we are being asked to really ground into our bodies, like more than ever, because next year is going to be so much will be focused on the emotional body. It will be a lot easier to work with the emotional body if we can really offer the mind to the heart, and really center inside of ourselves and anchor into our bodies. So that way, when all these things are flying around, we can help ourselves, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. So Corey says she also got invaded by ants too. So yes, that makes sense. It was my car that got robbed. Um, yeah,
And cars are an extension of us too. I mean, because a lot of us spend
totally.
more time in our cars, especially if you commute, than in our house. And I particularly feel extremely safe in my car, and do a lot of spiritual work in the car. So
Hmm.
I would be upset if my car was broken into.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry, that's a lot. And this time of year, I feel like amplifies these things too, because other people are also experiencing scarcity, and the way that the Western world experiences Christmas, and like the pressure. And it's a lot of people that have parents, because they feel the need that they have to give their kids something, because they don't want their kids to have to go to school, if that's even an option, without having a gift. I mean, there's a crazy amount of pressure on parents right now, and just people in general, and it's cold, and for the
totally.
houseless, it's just, there's a lot that's happening.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Thank you, Ashley.
Mhm.
Okay, she says, thanks, Ashley. I'll sneeze with you. Okay. Okay. All right. Carissa has a question over here on New Earth Rising channel. Let's see. She says, hi. Any insight on job prospects for me? Thank you. Carissa.
Oh wait, sorry, you're on the not channel that I'm on. So can you repeat that again?
Oh, yes, yes.
Sorry.
That's
I
all
was like,
right.
read it. I was like, no, you cannot just read it.
Any insight on job prospects for me? Thank
Okay.
you.
It's
Yeah.
Marissa or Carissa?
Carissa with a C. Carissa.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, everybody.
Oh, you're fine. Carissa. Yes. I see one in particular, if I may go, Ashley. I see one in particular, and it okay. I feel what I'm feeling is that it will feed your creative abilities. And I feel like it's what I'm seeing is that it's not something that maybe is right in front of you right now, but I see it kind of in the background. See it over to my right, kind of in the background. Um, so it feels to me that it's something that you're going to have to get through maybe uh, a couple, yeah, a couple, what they're showing me, a couple of mm, oh, maybes, that type of thing to get to that one. But I feel like your higher self and your peeps are setting this one up, which is really a bridge to a lot of opportunity for you. And I also feel like that someone that you know that might be bringing it, that could be bringing it to you. So something like that is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like it's not that far in the distance, maybe the beginning of the year, around February is what comes to mind. So that's what I'm getting, and it feels like it's something that's it, a good deal.
Okay. Awesome. I also got creativity. um, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the terms masculine and feminine, and it could be your left hemisphere and right hemisphere of your brain. I don't know if there's a part of you that is it's either that you are very like I don't want to use the word OCD in that way, but very very organized. Sorry, type A or organized or linear. So if that's not you, then it's something that you actually appreciate. So there's a balancing between like the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere of the brain. So the job on the outset isn't going to look like something that seems obvious. When you go in for the interview, you will feel it and it will feel right, but it won't look right to you because it's going to have something in it that is what you're striving towards bringing into your life, but isn't necessarily what you feel that you are, even though it's what you are. I saw it having to do with creativity and caring, and it's either going to invigorate your inner child, if not include working with a younger population, if not smaller children, then somehow having something to do with children or working with some other people's inner children. There's something about children in that. Um, and I agree with Sharon. I would say divine timing, divine order. So you're gonna maybe want to take the first thing, and that might not be the thing. So trust the process, and to remember that it won't, like, this was the bigger thing. Remember that it won't be obvious on the face value until you actually go in for the interview and get to know what it is, because it will play to all of your strengths and it will include the things that you're striving towards bringing into your life.
Thank you, Ashley. Hopefully that was helpful, Carissa. Okay. Okay, over here, I see another question. Let's see, can't stop, won't stop. Okay. Any tips for dealing with trauma that affects my love life? Can I connect with a guide with some specific interest in helping me along this path? Well, on the second one question, that's an easy yes. Yes, you can. Okay. Let's look at the first one. Any tips for dealing with trauma that affects my love life? Okay. The first thing I'm getting is that, and I believe I know who this is, if I could call you B, okay, is that healing work is in order. Healing and those fragmented parts of you, uh, bringing them in, bringing them into the whole, um, helping that part of you, which is fragmented, feel safe again. And whether it's from other, I mean, again, other lifetimes always lead up to do lead up to what we experience in this lifetime. I've learned that over the years. So it's not 98%, it's 100% what I've learned. So so it's important to what I'm getting from your peeps here, your higher self, your team, is that it's really important to focus on in your meditations. And you can ask your higher self and your guidance system to bring to you, set your intention for what you want to heal, in moving forward with a healthy relationship. So where you do feel safe, because I just feel that there's not feeling safe, which makes sense. Trauma does that, right? Unfortunately, I mean, it does. So that's what I'm getting for that, is to set your intention with your guidance system to in your meditations to work on bringing that part of you in, and let that part of you know. Who, and I want to cry with this, that that part of you is safe, and keep doing it until you feel safe. Bring that part of you into the whole, ask what you can also ask what that part of you needs or wants, or anything like that, because we get scattered with traumas and fragmented. So ask that, you can ask that part of you what they would need or want. Bring them into the whole, bring them into your heart center, the light of who you are, and that helps us feel whole, and safe again, and where we can trust. Okay. Can I connect with a guy with specific interest in helping me along? So that's yes, you can, definitely, always. Just make that intention, and ask your whoever's working with you in your meditations to show themselves to you. And you don't have to it doesn't have to be this big, entrance, but trust your instincts, trust your intuition. Usually guides are, they let us know they're around, but in subtle ways. So trust all that. Trust the subtle hints and signs that you get, because they're there. Hope that's helpful. Ashley.
Yeah, so I don't, gender doesn't matter, but I don't want to, okay, so I don't know if you identify with being female or male. So I will just go ahead and present this because people are listening too. So, okay, so for you specifically, I'm getting that what you can do is sing and work on your throat chakra, because you wanting to, I'm using the words entertain a romantic relationship, is it will unfold when you give yourself permission to truly see and hear yourself first. So a practice like that I like to do is just, in a meditation, put one hand over my heart and put another hand over a body part that needs like attending to, and say, I see you, I hear you, I know you, I feel you, I love you. And really drop into your body and feel those frequencies. And so the reason why I brought up gender is, my computer thinks I think you're pretty great too. Okay, that's good. Sorry.
Okay.
Random talking.
I like what she said.
I know. It's like, okay, that's what you heard. So there is so if you have a uterus, is a direct reflection of the throat, like literally. So when you connect those 2 points through your heart in your body, and when you are singing with that intention, it can open your throat so that you can be heard. But oftentimes the beings always say you have to release the need to be heard in order to truly be heard. Right? So if you grew up with trauma in your background where you had a lifetime of not being heard, sometimes we then become more vocal, and we're not really, I don't want to say in control of our voice, but it's more frenetic when we're talking, or we try and say a whole bunch of things in a short amount of time. So it's sort of about slowing down and really finding your voice, which is directly connected to the uterus. Now, if you are male, you still have a hara, and you can still do the same thing and still connect that to your voice, right? And because there is still a reflection of those spaces, but is particularly and especially powerful in a female body and can be used by anybody that's listening. But for you specifically, I'm getting voice and throat healing. And if that means singing in the shower, in the car, or whatever, it can really be beneficial.
Awesome. So he says, thank you, Ashley. Whoever I met in my dream seemed to be expressing that I needed to talk and express myself more. And he is a man. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it still works. Okay, good. So it still works for like you still have a hara and it's still connected. And I like to think of like the ears, and because in order to speak, we also have to be able to hear, right? And there's a lot of this energy that's coming up is particularly going to be affecting the masculine, because the masculine has been programmed to be divorced from their emotions, but they are allowed to feel anger, right? And masculine energy, they are always the last one off the first one's off to war, the last one's first one's off to war, the last one's off the boat, and basically you have no, if you can't provide financially and if your brain isn't highly developed, then basically society has no need for you. So if you can just trust your voice. And so when you work with your lingam, it's really how men are directing their energy, which is very much part of our throat chakra. So I always think of ears like testes, lingam, like there's still a connection here, and it's still connected to the hara, which is basically the masculine.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, so oh wait, this is Sharon. Did my guide contact me last night? Had the first vivid dream that I can remember in years. Oh, awesome. Yes. I was, and so if that's the dream you're talking about, whoever I met in my dreams seemed to be expressing that I needed to talk and express. Yes, 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 definitely. If you're getting advice in your dream from a being, that's a guide. That's someone who is there to help you and is a guide for you. Definitely. Trust that. Good for you. Good for you, B. Okay, so I have a question over here. Carissa says, I honestly cannot thank you both enough. I feel very blessed. Thank you all. Love you, Carissa. Carissa. Thank you. Okay, so CE has a question. Do I have a galactic family, and what do I need to do to evolve into the higher vibrations of that family? Okay. Yes, you do. Yes. Well, I got chills. I got goosebumps. Uh, yes, you do. Uh, so what do I need to do to evolve into the higher vibrations of that family? Well, number one is awareness. Awareness is the key. Acknowledging in your meditations, and I know that you do meditate. Uh, in your meditations, you can ask them to give you signs, show themselves to you in some way. Ask uh, for information to be shown to you that you can use to how do like maybe a book or a study material or something like that, any kind of, or a video, something that will come your way that will confirm things that you are feeling or getting. Pay attention to your dreams. They're really good about coming to us in our dreams, and we may not recognize them as star beings, but that's because we're not used to seeing them that way. You can also work on they're showing me to work on your uh, uh, blah, blah, blah. Your third eye, your clairvoyance, your pineal, this area, the gateway here. They're telling me that they are, I feel like I want to channel, that they are working with that this area, this gateway with you now. That's what they're showing me, is what I'm seeing. And so focusing on that area uh, will help as well, bring them in. The higher frequencies of your chakras will help bring them in. Uh, um, remembering that they are not that much different than us, that they just have, they've been through everything we're going through. They're just in a different frequency. So they're not that different from us. And I hear that a lot from them. They're really not that different from us. They have lives, um, they care about their family members, they care about you tremendously. They love you, and they are so grateful that you are here in the trenches of the earth plane kind of thing. Uh, and yeah, so being in your heart space also is super important. Being in your heart space uh, during your day. Uh, I also got music. I got music and singing too. Uh, Creativity and lifting music and singing always lifts your vibration, right? Doing whatever it takes to lift your vibration and what makes you feel good, whatever makes you feel good. Have fun. Have fun during your day. And that, they're saying that that will bring you closer to them. Yeah. It won't be that long to where you'll feel their energies and you'll feel them with you. And they want to say, don't think of them as different. Don't think of them as foreign or different, that type of thing. I hope that makes sense, Krista. CE. Ashley.
Okay. So the first thing what I saw was yeah. Sorry, Mahana's over here. It's like I saw
Moana.
this is kind of like this triangle sort of frequency came through, and so what I was getting is it's really about the first thing that came through is if it's hard for you to be in flow, it's because these beings are very technological. So they want to work with technology and they want to access and work with your inner technology. And so the phrasing of your question had something to do with how do I raise my vibration to connect with them? And they wanted you to shift your vibration here, because part of what you're here doing is bringing these multidimensional frequencies into you, bringing this technology in here so it moves through you. And they're asking you to get into touch with, I'm just going to go ahead and label it feminine frequencies, sort of the divine feminine, be willing to like be in a flow state. And then when you do that, then you can be here in this place and then allow this, the more, it's not rigid, but it's just very like, these are the codes, this is the information. And they feel almost like they have like kind of a red vibration and like just very, there's a lot of triangles. So I would put and the triangles feel like pointed here, like the one that I drew. It's like this, and like there's a round energy around it. So it's very contained and it's like wanting to stream in this very sort of direct, calculated, and very organized way, which is not always true. It's not all galactics are not like this, right? So if you can be in a flow state and open yourself here and not try to get to them, they will come to you. Yep.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they've always told me just do what makes you feel good. That's all you need to do. And CE, I know that I believe if I remember correctly, you are artistic. So that can help tremendously with finding that connection too with them and just being with them in that space. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Um, Elizabeth. Okay, she says, "Hi, I need to move soon. Is there some advice for me? Maybe find a roommate, question mark. Thanks." Okay. So the first thing what I'm getting from your team here, Elizabeth, is to since we're shifting, whatever we put out, we're creating, right? Whatever we focus on, we're creating. If you're moving, if the moving part of it, the situation, if you're putting out that you need a roommate, then that's what the universe is going to give back to you, right? So guidance usually doesn't tell us tell us what to do. They do help us understand and remember how to create our reality, right? So what I'm getting from them is that if you feel more comfortable with a roommate, and and that's what you're looking at, and whatever you find, then there's nothing, of course, nothing wrong with that. But and also be diligent with your search for that. But I'm getting that, and I'm also getting that you can create the situation, if that's what you want, where you have your own place. Okay. um, if that's what you're focused on, it doesn't matter what you focus on, you can create it. And since we are moving into these frequencies where we create rapidly, and we're already doing it, not moving into it, it's just moving into it more and more, where what we focus on creates very quickly. So whatever you put your focus on, whatever you want, and the universe will give you. The universe doesn't decide whether it's good or bad for us. They just give us the universe gives us what we focus on. Okay. The more we focus on, that's what we get. So they're saying whatever you would prefer, focus on that. Okay. That's what I'm getting. Yeah. If you feel more comfortable with a roommate, focus on finding a good roommate that's you resonate with. That you both can have a good space there. But it's not, but it's if that's not what you feel you would want, it is high. It you can create a place by yourself. You can do it. Just something you have to focus on.
Yeah, when you asked the question, it sounded like you didn't want a roommate. I mean, what I felt was like you didn't want a roommate, but you didn't see how you could have a place that didn't have a roommate. So
Right. Right.
the beings basically said set an intention and then sit down on the computer, or I'm assuming that we're looking for places on the computer. Sit down on the computer and start looking around. And when you're looking around, catch yourself and stop the voices that keep on saying, well, how this isn't possible. How is this going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to focus on moving to the vibration that suits you and to trust the process, because you might be actually moving farther than where you think you're moving, because a lot of us are being asked to shift, and that we're getting more clarity on where we're actually moving in the physical. Earlier this year, there was a lot of people at the end of last year that wanted to move, and the beings were saying that collectively some people would be moving to certain places and they'd be holding light frequencies that would be attracting other people. So a lot of people would be moving towards the end of the year. So you're right on track in moving, and you might actually move farther than where you think you're going to move from. Another thing that I find that it's a lot easier to sort of co-create and manifest if we understand at least what are we passionate about and what is our kind of our soul purpose. And if you kind of know what you want to do or what you're doing, whether like the sole purpose doing, which sometimes doesn't necessarily have anything to do with our daily job, right? There's a lot of people that work a 9 to 5 and their sole purpose happens on the weekends or outside of working hours, right? So when what I call it soul inquiry, basically when we go into like a meditative space and we ask ourselves with compassionate curiosity questions, I find that if we can attach the reason for when we can attach why we're wanting to move. So if you truly want to live alone and you want to be able to manifest that or co-create that, if like the question is, why do I want to live alone or with a roommate, and how does this align with what I am passionate about or what my sole purpose is? So I'll just use myself for an example. I thought I was going to be living in my car, and a whole bunch of things happened because the being said, you will not be living in a tiny house, you will not be living in a car. So stop projecting energy towards that. You need to be in something that is solid and on a ground, because you need to be bringing in all of these frequencies. So no houseboats, no like weird things that I was thinking. I was literally researching like what emergency room parking lots can I sleep in, because it's so that I don't have like knock, knock, knock on the window. So all of these things like massively started unfolding really quickly, and ended up finding a house that a lot of people, even my parents, would say that house looks like it was built literally for you. So the point, because like, and I've noticed this with myself and with other people, because it was necessary in order for me to do my work to have something, and they wanted me in a location that's like an hour and a half or an hour outside of Portland, which isn't ideal, but I'm very, very happy with how everything unfolded. So my point is that when anybody that's listening, when you're trying to co-create something, whether it's a car or a physical thing or not a physical thing, I find that it happens much quicker and in alignment when you can align it to the work, the what you're passionate about, if you don't know what your soul purpose is, or the path that you are on for your soul purpose and being of service. Then the universe is like, sure, here you go, da, 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 and then it starts happening.
Nice. Nice. I love that detail. Hopefully that's helpful, Elizabeth. And that's perfect. Oh, and CE says, so interesting. Thank you both. I will work on this. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to hear back from you and all your stories about your galactic family. Elizabeth says, excellent advice. I appreciate it. You're very, very welcome. Perfect timing. We are out of time. Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for being here. And we got to do this more often. So much fun.
It is fun.
Okay.
It's really,
Okay.
speaking of co-creation and being in flow, I had some coaching clients and things got really like, it was all supposed to, the schedule was set, and then somebody called and needed to switch. So I asked if the other person would, and they picked all these times, and literally once everybody rescheduled themselves, Sharon sends me a text and said, "Can you come?" And it was like literally within 5 minutes of each thing. And I was like, "All right, beings, like, of course I'm available."
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, weird times. It was like, I can meet you at 2:45, like from 2:40 or 2:45 to
3:45. Yeah.
2:45. And I was like, oh, yes. Like, and then right after we decided that, there it is. And I had an appointment today. And so, like, this beautiful little block of time just magically appeared, and it's almost never available. So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
They work hard with us across the veil. They really do. Yeah. And we don't appreciate that enough, I don't think. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you everyone that was here. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channels and hit the like button if you enjoyed our sharings today. Okay. And thank you, Corey. Thank you. And we will see you next time. All righty. Signing off.